So we're talking about Nancy Guthrie today. If you've already given up hope and you don't even believe that she's out there, and you know that it was a botched investigation from the beginning, you may not be interested in this anymore. I know people that were engulfed in it in the very beginning have just given up. They don't even want to hear about it. They're just so frustrated and annoyed that nothing could have been done in the very beginning. But anyways, the alleged kidnapper now is said to TMZ. Remember, they have this open line of communication with TMZ of all news sources. But anywho, they want 1 Bitcoin for information that is for a phone. And on that phone has Nancy in her last days, because apparently now they're saying that she's deceased and she died shortly after she was kidnapped. And all the names and information, including ages of the alleged kidnappers involved in this thing, excluding the person that's saying he has a phone or she has a phone. And they're saying that they're going to put this phone somewhere that, well, it's already somewhere, placed somewhere where it's easily accessible. And they will give out the information for 1 Bitcoin, and the authorities can go seize it and get all the information and get the last known photos of Nancy Guthrie. And, you know, I believe that there's only one kidnapper at this point. I think there was only ever one kidnapper, and I think they're obsessed with Savannah Guthrie. And the thing is why? Okay, so if you do have information about someone on a phantom phone somewhere that you've buried or whatever, and you're trying to get money and you're saying, I got all that information on the phone, you would just say, I have the names of the people involved. You're not going to say I have their names and their ages and things like that. The police will already know that when they put that into a database. It's all this extra information that the alleged kidnappers are giving to TMZ and the authorities. It doesn't make sense. It's more of an emotional connection, right? If you've kidnapped someone for money, okay, not that I know from experience, but you'll tell them that the person that you've kidnapped is in good health, you want the money, and where the drop is. You don't add in all these little bits of information. You're not writing, a novel every day. So I don't know. It's such a twisted story, and was a bad investigation from the very beginning. But yeah, at first they had said that I think it was $6 million they were requesting for Nancy Guthrie's remains to be delivered back, and the family said, we'll pay that. And the alleged kidnappers didn't get back to the family. After the family clearly said, we'll pay the $6 million, get us her remains. Now, if you're not experienced in this, okay, how do you get a deceased body back to someone with, being inconspicuous? Like, if the person is alive, right, you can drop them off at a train station, tie them up in a warehouse, and tell their location. But with a deceased person, how do you go about that, right? How do you, and I not mean to be graphic or gross, but at this point she'd be, rigor mortis has set in, she's decomposing. All the things, transportation, how are they getting her to and from a location? It's a little trickier. I think that Nancy Guthrie could very well still be alive in someone's home, in someone's storage unit. And people have said, well, she doesn't have her medication. Not that I would advise, people to stop taking their meds, but it's possible. It is a possibility that she could live without her meds. Number one. And number two, it's possible that this person somehow got her meds off the street or some other thing. I still do believe there's a chance she's alive, even though they're saying that she's not here. But with all this grasping at straws, it's all for money now, right? Asking for the $6 million for her body, now asking for 1 Bitcoin for a phone with all the information on it. I think the kidnapper or kidnappers are so confused. This is way beyond their spectrum of capabilities, that they are just trying to get something out of all this baloney, some sort of reward, because at this point in time, their days are numbered, number one. And number two, their chances of securing any sort of monies is dwindling day by day, right? Eventually it's going to be completely off the table, any sort of reward money. And I don't think they understand how they can get it, right? If the family said, we'll transfer you that $6 million, I think they said, we don't really trust the process. If we go to get that money and you arrest us at that time, then they slept on it, thought about it a bit, said, how about this new thing with the phone and the info and the last pictures of Nancy, and you give us 1 Bitcoin from us. It's something new every day. And that could be just because they're figuring out how they're going to do this because they have no idea, or they're just keeping Savannah Guthrie, in this wild chain of obsession, maybe. I don't know. Every day I just think that it's just gone more and more. It just gets more and more weird, especially with TMZ's involvement and why they're contacting TMZ, which, maybe they have ties to the entertainment industry. And another thing is notoriety, right? The feds would know, they'd profile these kidnappers or kidnapper. They would know if they're the type that's doing this for notoriety, for fame, or they're actually doing it for monetary gain. I don't think it's for monetary gain at this point in time, unless it was purely desperate and they thought that they could get the money and they thought this was going to be an easy thing. I think it has something to do with Savannah and someone. I think it's just someone that's watched her for years on TV. We've all seen that play out before. Some sort of weird obsession where they were watching her. They believed they had some sort of relationship with her. And who do you take away from a woman who, and get her attention? Her mother, right? And it was probably very simple, the whole process. They showed her house on the TV special. They showed where she lived. They showed she lived alone. And this person probably watched from afar and made some, fandangled plan to, hey, I'll kidnap her, in hopes of getting Savannah's attention, and I'll make it look like I'm out for money. When in fact, they're probably not in this for the money at all. Because if they were, they would have happily got this going when the family agreed to the $6 million for her body. So, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. We'll see in the next chapter.